founder and CEO of Influencer, and Oklahoma State earlier this week entered into a 5-year premium exclusive agreement with Influencer to help the athletes at Oklahoma State in building their brands and assisting with name, image, and likeness. Jim, I appreciate you joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit. What got you started on this? And let me ask you this, just to see if my basis on all this is right or wrong. I'm 60 years old. I'm not necessarily the greatest tech whiz with social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I've got young people that help me with it. But to me, it seems like your company is somewhat like the old organizer somebody had on their desk. And it takes basically their social media footprint and presence and organizes it as well as introduces them to avenues where they can expand it. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Am I on the right page here?
You're definitely on the right page, and I think an even better analogy I like to use in the media world is the old satellite. Essentially, news stations, which student athletes are like their own news stations now on social media, always needed a satellite, the footage from the game or anything that was going on to the station so that the station could publish it and put it out there in their newscast. Influencer is a satellite that gets any of the pictures and videos taken of the athlete onto their phone. So they then can share those to their personal Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. And then we can track the audience reach, kind of like Nielsen used to do in the TV days and still does. We do that so the athletes can see the reach they're getting, and Oklahoma State can see the collective reach they're getting through all these shares happening from our app and all the content in our app by the athlete to their social media. And so while Oklahoma State's team account might have tens of thousands of followers, their athletes have hundreds of thousands of followers, and 75% of those people are fans and recruits that Oklahoma State wants to reach. And because of Influencer and the content they're getting the athletes through Influencer, they're now reaching those people through the athletes while also helping the athletes have content to share and build their brand.
There you go. And see, being an old TV guy, I was in television for about 25 years, and actually, I can really relate to the satellite days. So that makes perfect sense. That works for me. So, all right. What was the connection? Who reached out to who? Did you reach out to Oklahoma State? Oklahoma State looking for somebody reached out to your company. How did this marriage come about?
Well, listen, a few different things. Number one, my sales team, my marketing team is unbelievable. We've had so many great successes amongst our 30,000 student athlete users that use the Influencer app daily to share content, reaching 50 million people. You can imagine there's a lot of great case studies out there, and our team is awesome at getting those stories of athlete brand growth out there into the market, along with the way it impacts teams. And we've got half the Big 12 already, so Oklahoma State knew who we were, and we've got these great stories that our business development team did a good job of connecting with Oklahoma State about. But I'd say one of the biggest catalysts was Chad Weiberg, who's a deputy AD at Oklahoma State Athletics, saw me speak at the Sports Business Journal Innovators Conference in New York City back in December, and pulled me aside afterward and just started asking me questions and talking about what is going to lie ahead when it comes to name, image, and likeness, and how important this athlete brand building topic really is. And he clearly got the fact, which not all administrators did and still do get this, but facilities, academics, athletics, those are all part of the arms race when you're recruiting. But brand building is now officially a part of it with NIL, and Chad got that. And so we kept in touch, and as we got later in the year, past COVID, past the situation where there was some clarity, we got to the point where they were ready to actually get their staff in front of Influencer and see the presentation and see the impact it's had and make a decision. And so this was, a 6-month process, but it was really delayed a little bit with COVID. And then once there was clarity, it sped back up, and now we're official.
As we enter into the name, image, and likeness era in the NCAA and with college student athletes having the opportunities to build their brand and take some advantage, whether it's in, just local, business that wants to have them out to sign autographs, or maybe they do find a way to do some endorsements. And obviously, Oklahoma State's got a couple of players right now in football, and a newcomer that's, you know, the top basketball recruit in the country, and Cade Cunningham. And I'm talking about Chuba Hubbard and Tylan Wallace that are bound for the NFL that certainly could have done some of this. But we're talking about the future. Um, how much success do you see for student athletes in endorsements in that area? Because obviously, not every pro athlete ends up with a big list of endorsements. How many can we see maybe in the college realm that will be able to really capitalize on this financially?
So there's so many places I can go with this. The regulations will have a lot to do with it. And right now, the regulations are simply recommendations from the NCAA, but they're full of limitations for the student athlete and the institution. Examples of those are student athletes can't license or wear the marks of the university in any endorsement. Another example would be student athletes cannot do group licensing. That's going to limit student athletes tremendously, because if you're a small brand on your own and you can't benefit from a group deal, you're not going to have a deal. So if they stay the way they are now, it will start with what everybody said this would be, which is only the top elite student athletes are going to have opportunities. But I believe that the limitations will be so significant if they were to start this way, especially to female athletes in Title IX, let alone just a lot of the athletes out there who should and could make money with their name, image, and likeness. I think they'll evolve. And so over time, there'll be more and more opportunities opened up if they're not opened up off the bat. And I think every student athlete, I know this is aggressive, I think every student athlete will be able to make money in NIL, whether they're getting free haircuts or whether they're doing six-figure endorsement deals. They're going to be able to do things they never were allowed to do before. I mean, you can't even send a student athlete a T-shirt right now without it being looked at as an improper gift. So
Right.
there's a lot that this will open up. And, you mentioned that some athletes never even get deals as pros, but there's a lot of athletes that are college heroes that never even play in the pros. I was just on the phone with Jerry McNamara from my hometown, Syracuse. I'm a Syracuse fan. Don't hold it against me.
Oh no, that's okay. I like Syracuse.
but I was just talking to Jerry McNamara. Hey, he hit 6 threes in the first half of the national championship in '03, and he's still doing endorsements off of that. He never played in the NBA, right? So there's opportunities that he could have had with NIL while he was still in Syracuse. And those examples at Oklahoma State.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this opens things up. And like anything else, it's been called Pandora's box a million times by a million different people. It's exactly what it is. It opens up a box that will expand over time. And that's why, instead of focusing on what's going to happen in year 1 and 2, I'm trying to push our partners on thinking about this in the next 5 to 10 years. And the way to do that is by going all in right now and just helping their athletes build responsible, potent brands on social media that they can leverage in college with their NIL and forever after, whether they play pro sports or they want to come work for my company. Your social media is your digital character footprint. And when you come apply to work for Influencer, I'm going to look at your social and I'm going to make a judgment about you. It might not even be a fair judgment, but that's your fault because you don't do your social in the way that reflects you properly. So we want to help schools do that because it's going to create more value opportunities, regardless of the rules, for them to go monetize in the NIL era and beyond.
All right. Again, Jim Cavale with us, who is the CEO and founder of Influencer, and we don't have him for very long. I did read the Sports Business Daily story on the day in life. I've always think that's fascinating to read somebody's life chronicled, or a day in somebody's life chronicled like that. And what got me right off the bat is the trip to the gym, and that you're at the same gym as Greg Sankey. Now, that man runs marathons, so he's probably pretty ferocious in the gym.
Yeah, he's gonna probably kill me for doing this, but since we're on in Oklahoma, supposedly Greg's doing the Panhandle race next year.
Okay.
I think it's a 35-mile race.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm putting it out on the airwaves. that he is going to be doing that. um, but listen, yeah, Greg is intense, and the gym that we both work out at used to be a chain that I owned with another guy that I was business partners with, and that's how I got to know him and built that for you know about a decade and 40 gyms, and fitness was my life. And
Right.
so I wasn't going to give that lifestyle up just because I changed industries. And to me, if you're not working on your body every day with what you eat, how you move, how you recover, you're not complementing the other parts of your life, whether it's business, whether it's being a father, being a husband, being a friend. And so, it's really important to me.
Last thing, and this is as much as the athletes could be excited about this. Todd Bradford, the football recruiting coordinator, Mike Gundy, the head football coach, Mike Boynton, the head basketball coach. They were, you could tell just reading their comments, the elation and the impact. And you referenced it earlier that this is going to make on recruiting for the school.
Yeah, that's really what this is going to center around. Is what you have right now is you have a class of 2021. They know, they've read the news. They know that they're going to be able to make some sort of compensation that college athletes have never been able to make before. And these kids are going into their senior year right now. And then every class after that knows it as well. And so now you've got to answer a question for mom and dad and the young man or woman. Hey, can you get me NIL deals? How are you going to help me with NIL? And it's a dangerous question because it can lead you down a path of recruiting that's not compliant, that could get you in trouble, especially
Right.
since we don't even know what the rules are. And so what we've realized is what we've already been doing in the past 3 years since we launched this company and had the success of 100 plus colleges, 700 plus teams, 30,000 athletes. We've learned how to help our partners communicate how the content they produce internally and the partnership they have with influencer to get that content to the student athletes is helping athletes grow their brand more than schools that don't have this strategy in place. And now that can be the answer to the NIL question because, listen, if you look at Kansas, who's been a partner of ours since the beginning, Devon Dotson grew his social media 87% when it comes to his audience growth and his engagement percentage of his posts during his 2 years at Kansas. He's going to be making $3,000 to $4,000 a post as a rookie in the NBA when he does endorsements. Most of that value came during the time he was at KU playing basketball. And so KU can show that in recruiting, even though he didn't make a dollar while he was there. We got to help Oklahoma State do that as much as possible in every sport because if nothing else, they're leaving the young man or young woman in a great place to start the rest of their life in whatever they do, let alone if they go play pro sports and can make money off of their life.
Great answer. That clues me in quite a bit. I know you got to go. I appreciate your time and look forward to hopefully you visit Stillwater. We see you a little bit, but again, thanks so much and appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'll be in Stillwater. You can count on that. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, you will enjoy it. There's some good places to hang out. Now you might have to go to the gym a little longer the next day, but that's okay.
No, I'll soak it in. I don't miss that. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm in the heart of the SEC, so I gotta get outside the bubble. I gotta go to some of these Big 12 experiences, and Stillwater is top of my list.
Hey, again, appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, Jim Cavale, who is the CEO and founder of Influencer.